And I just published a new blog post earlier today called The German Connection. How most of my suspects appear to be white males of German descent. And I start going down the list of a good portion of my suspects, not all of them on here yet, and talking about how their origins and or family origins are in Germany or likely in Germany. Some of them, it's a bit more direct, like Joachim Frank here, who was born and raised in Germany, and his son, Zay Frank, who is obviously of German heritage through his father. But then I also start giving you examples of how the last names of a lot of my suspects originate in Germany as well. One thing that I wanted to address that I felt like might become an issue later is, for those of you out there going like, Kat, how can you suspect that this cult might be prone to racism when one of your primary suspects, this dude here on the far left, Zay Frank, has two adopted children that are of different ethnicities. They are not white. Well, the simple answer to that is just because Zay Frank adopted those kids does not mean he's treating them well. Does not mean he's behaving like a real father to them. And I start getting into how right now the United States has a big problem with immigrant children being separated from their parents after they come across the border, and the parents are deported, but the children are kept here, and then they are adopted out to wealthy families, and those families end up abusing them. I'm not saying this happens in every single case, but it's happening enough that it's gaining a lot of traction in the media and news. I just recently heard testimony, I think it was this video, I'm not 100% sure, but this video also has a lot of good information in it about this particular topic. And I recently listened to a young woman who, when she was a child here, an immigrant child, she was adopted out to a wealthy family along with a few other kids. And they were basically put in a Harry Potter type situation. They were isolated to a small part of the house. They were barred off, fenced off actually. They were not allowed to go past sort of this gate that was put up in a doorway of the house. Yeah. And they were forced to do all of the housework and basically wait on the rest of the family hand and foot. And also, I believe I recall she was saying that the father of that family wound up getting into trouble for molesting his own biological daughter, but he was also sort of starting to become inappropriate with some of the immigrant girls who they had adopted. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys for anyone who's like, nah, Zay Frank isn't racist. Look at these kids. Yeah, he very well could be. If he adopted those kids just to enslave them or use them in some kind of weird mind experiments, or use them as sexual slaves, pimp them out perhaps. There's all kinds of reasons why kids get adopted. I know you guys want to think that it's just happily ever after for these children, but not necessarily. It's a bigger problem than most people would like to think about or admit. There are a lot of people out there who will go out of their way to adopt kids so that they can essentially get free slave labor and profit off of these children. So, yeah, don't be too quick to go like, no, he can't possibly be racist because he adopted these two kids. They're clearly not white. He absolutely can be. All right? So we'll leave that one there. I hopefully will be updating this, at least with more names soon. But yeah, and I'll just go over some of the names. Isaac Brock of Modest Mouse, the band. Jeffrey Epstein, obviously, you guys should know of him. Jared Leto. He has a freaking cult following on his own private island. That's just so creepy. Shmuel Asher also has a cult following. These guys all typically sort of gather this following of fans and fanatics and worshipers almost. That's a big part of their shtick, really. And that's how, remember guys, that's how they maintain a passive income and make it so that they can sit around at home and do not much most of the time and still have more money than most of us. Ezra Koenig of Vampire Weekend. Chris Thompson of Vampire Weekend. It's a band. David Katavi, a guy who just made it onto my list because he had a picture of himself hidden in one of Ze Frank's videos. Richard James Schuler, Richard Hart. He's a cryptocurrency dude. And then, of course, Ze Frank and his father, Joachim Frank. So yeah, I just wanted to point out the new blog post and touch upon that one issue that I was worrying people would bring up or either use to dismiss this suspicion of mine. That I'm not saying that they will never have anyone of a different race in their group. I'm saying that people of other races, people who aren't white and of Germanic descent, probably will not make it to the higher or highest levels of command within their little cult network. All right, they will probably only go so far in the power pyramid that these people have created. I do think that the ones at the top likely are white and of German heritage. All right, we'll leave it there. Bye.